Welcome to the Outer Realm with MicheleDerocher and Amelia Pisano. Airing live on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM in New Orleans.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Thursday night segment of The Outer Realm. We are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network, UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 from the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM from beautiful New Orleans. We're fully sponsored by the amazing people over at Folgers Coffee, who have been a part of our journey for the last few years. Thank you, Folgers. We couldn't do it without you, nor would we want to. Also, big thank you to Justin Snicker, aka Dr. Snick, the Sonic Surgeon, for the contribution of his music, his voice, and his time for the intro you just heard. He is an award-winning composer of Halloween, horror, sci-fi, and dark wave electronic music, which can be found on all of your favorite music streaming platforms. Also, big thank you to Steve McGinnis, the artist behind all of our logos here at the show. Check him out on Facebook and Instagram. Also specializes in the Halloween horror genre, but does crazy commission pieces of any type. So thank you. So the chat room's like really on fire already. Everybody's chiming in. Yay. I will be getting to everybody shortly. But first, we're going to bring on, one of my colleagues. We all know and love him. We do. And he is the host of Into the Night on Tuesdays and Sundays. So he just brightens up everybody's, split them up in the week and just sort of getting everybody all brightened up and just what you need, right? And he's very gentle. He's very kind. He's very knowledgeable. And I thought it would be fun to do a segment on high strangeness in Pennsylvania. It is one of my favorite states. I travel so much, and I've always loved Pennsylvania. There's pretty much everything about it. I've spent a lot of time there, and most of the places I've been through, I've had some pretty amazing experiences, and there've been places I've kind of looked at and kind of went, so it's an incredible state. If you guys haven't been, definitely just plan out a route. I mean, I feel like antiquing besides that too. I have to say, I know it's off topic, but I love it. So without further ado, my dear friend, Shawn Kelly.
Hello. Hey, Michelle, how are you? Hey, everybody. Good to see you.
Isn't it great?
I mean, I couldn't sleep last night. My heart was fluttering.
What? Come on. Oh, really? Oh, that's very kind of you to say. Very nice.
But you were saying about Pennsylvania, it is beautiful. It especially around fall time when all the leaves change.
It's beautiful.
It's just a sight, and
it's beautiful.
It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous.
It is. It's such a. So I'm just trying to get through everybody. Hi. Hello. Oh my God. I love to just acknowledge everybody. You guys are just awesome. If I miss anyone, I apologize. I do. I love it. And I think it's got the countryside, just the landscape, everything is just so beautiful. The history, hey, Carrie Lynn, hey, the history, the locations, just the architecture. I mean, I can't get over how many beautiful old homes there are with gorgeous carriage houses. And I was just talking to Wayne about this yesterday. I said, it's amazing to me that we don't see more of it. You get some of it throughout good parts of New York and stuff, but like the further southeast, especially, I find that you go, you really see beautiful old historic homes with huge coach houses. I mean, coach houses that, we have garages, they have coach houses that are so ornate and just living quarters up top, and just beautiful. I mean everything,
Mhm.
cobblestone, and they don't make stuff like that anymore.
No, they don't. Not at all.
You
The only
know.
downfall about where I live and in Pennsylvania is
Hmm.
during the wintertime, because we're going up mountains, okay? Even in the city of Pittsburgh, we're going up a lot of hills.
Mm-hmm.
And you pray to God that the salt truck was out, or else you ain't getting up the hill. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? But
Yeah.
besides that, you know what I really like about, especially where I live, I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania,
I've been to.
is,
Yeah, well, I've been to Philadelphia. I haven't been to Pittsburgh.
well, you got to come down, call me up, we'll do coffee. Uh,
Yeah, a 6 hour drive. I'll be there.
good. Yeah, or else you could fly into Pittsburgh and then take a drive out Philly. But
Yeah.
what I love about it is the three rivers. You
Hmm.
got the Monongahela, you got the Allegheny that flows into the
Yes.
Ohio. And right there, smack in the middle, we got the point,
Hmm.
which used to be called Fort Pitt, okay,
Mm.
during the French and Native
Mm.
American War.
Yeah.
And and if you go down there, if you look at a picture of it, mountains all
Beautiful.
around, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And one thing nice about Pittsburgh people, we're the kindest people out there. We really are. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not sure about Philadelphia, but I know that you get a lot of good treatment down here in Pittsburgh. We're really really friendly. And what the other thing is, and I'll shut up. Um,
I love Pennsylvania. You guys are all awesome. I love how you all think that Canadians have accents.
yeah, no, we do.
I
Pittsburgh,
know.
we do.
I'm like, I have an accent. They're like, yeah. I was like, okay. I was treated like royalty down that way. People always so kind. I've made
Yes.
some like incredible friends, and the antique dealers love me.
No, I bet.
Oh, they
We
used
have
to
a lot of
text me.
those.
It's
We have a
like,
lot of those.
oh my gosh, yes. I got a really incredible collection that I ended up donating, but I got it from Pennsylvania. The history is just unbelievable. Before
Hmm.
we go much further, though, I do want to give a shout out to some of our people I mean, you guys in chat are. I love how you go across all the different shows for the most part. You're just so supportive, and we really do love you for it. I
Yeah.
manage the network here. So it's very, very humbling to me when I see all of our hosts being supported by you all. And some of you guys are like just even over and above what we all expect. Like Heidi, I have to say, you're champion. Mark, you guys are champions. We've got Tamara, who's not here. We've got Patsy. We've got so many of you. We've got Jeannie, who isn't here tonight. I mean, there's so many of you who just hey, who just you network. All these shows
Yes.
go out with links, everything included. It's like, oh my God. And we appreciate that.
Yeah.
Half the time, I was saying like I get tagged and stuff, and I'm not on social media a whole lot because I mean my schedule just doesn't allow it. I post and I'm gone. And sometimes I see all these tags and I'm already too late to do anything with them. But I do appreciate it. I do see them, and I do thank you all. I do thank you all for it.
Yes.
So thank you
I'm not. Yeah.
yeah, from all of us here at UPRN to all of you. So thank you, and much love. Keep up the good work.
Yes. Please. 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 Please.
Yeah. Oh, we appreciate you all. Thank you. Yes, thank you. You guys are
There
awesome.
she is. There she is. Yes.
Yeah. Hi,
Kurt.
UPRN.
Oh my God.
Woohoo. Yes.
And
Aw,
Kurt.
thank you.
Mark.
Mark, you're a real champ because you don't sleep, and right now you're in England and it's like 20 after 2 a.m. for you. So thank you. Yeah, something for everyone. Thank you. Yeah, we do try. Our hosts are really great at getting phenomenal content, wonderful people to bring to you all. And we're just so grateful that you enjoy it all, because there's a lot of hard work that goes into these shows. And I don't think people always realize that, it's not a matter of always just getting somebody, bringing them on, and there we go. Unfortunately, there's a lot of research that goes into that too. Thank you. Thank you, Heidi. That's very humbling. And I'm just like, just make me want to just shed a tear.
Go ahead, shed all the tears.
I know, it's like, wow. Wow. Thank you very much. And yes, that's what UPRN is right here. It is family. Shawn and I were just talking about that before the show. We are, and that's very, very important, because we all have each other's back. Any of our hosts, if somebody's available and somebody has a guest who couldn't make it, can you fill in? It's amazing how people come together and just get in there. Yep, no problem. I'll be right in. And when we all wing it. So
it's the only way to do it. Is winging it,
By the seat of our pants, right, Shawn?
Yes. But you know what? There was a couple times that I had guests, and I did a lot of research on my guest. Okay, Marketti. I did a lot of research on my guest, and what the guest would do was bring it to the table here. And it's like they cancel like 5 minutes before the show. And I'm like, what am I going to do? Well, I know I'm Irish. Well, I know I'm Irish. So I just come up, and I start talking, and I have the perfect chat room, man. I got my followers. And we just start talking. And then when we talk, then a subject comes up. And if subject don't come up, then my brain goes, zzz, and then we talk. And they're beautiful people. I call them my people, my followers, I call them my guardian angels, Michelle. Yeah. They are.
Yeah.
I mean,
I always call them my chat family. I love it.
Yeah. If I'm having a bad week, man, I look forward to Sunday and Tuesday, because I know they're going to cheer me up. And it's the truth.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I love doing the shows. I mean, a few years in, I've been in media for over 2 decades. And I thought when I started doing the show, we started out in a radio station. So we we didn't get chat rooms and that. It was just radio. And we started syndicating here. And then the world kind of shut down for a while, including the radio station we were at physically. And we just decided to come here, go live, and we are forever here. Shut up. I'm old. I feel it. Anyway.
You're not old. You don't look a day over 30.
Thanks, Shawn. Take it back, Kat. Take it back. But anyway. Hi there. Hi, Michael. But you know what? It really took off. It was so comfortable, and it just kept going from there, because that never feels like work. It never feels like work, even though you could put hours into something. It's just, you get on air, you interact with people, you interact with your guests, and it's like, it feels like I'm just sitting across from a friend, hanging out and having a great conversation. And that's just priceless to me.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. And I have made so many friends from all over the world. I remember I do have 5 girls that live in Scotland, right? And they would stay up till 2 in the morning and listen to my show, and it was like really cool, man. It was so cool.
It's nice. That's devotion right there, because that's late. That's really late over there.
Yeah, it is.
But let's get down to some juicy stuff. I mean,
okay.
All right. So you have investigated for a long time, and your home base, of course, is Pennsylvania. So do you want to start with the big one, which would be Gettysburg? Do you want to start there with experiences and things that have you investigated Gettysburg, I'm sure, several times?
Sure.
Okay, why don't we start there, and then we can move along to other things.
Okay. Well, I went to Gettysburg actually in 2006 when like a month before I formed my group. And and I bought one of those cameras right off the shelf, and where you can bring it in and they can like dot, do like Rite Aid stuff. But and I got hooked. Right away.
Yeah.
And for the longest time, I would go at least 2 or 3 times a year up to Gettysburg.
Wow.
Because I loved it. Because when I'm driving in on Route 30 or Route 15, and I see the monuments, it's like I'm home. It feels like that I'm home.
Yes.
But and I had so much experience at Saks Covered Bridge. That's I don't know. Have you heard of Saks?
Yeah,
Saks
I've been to Gettysburg a couple times. Yeah.
Okay. But there's a bridge up the road from there. It's called the Eisenhower Bridge. And they call that the Suicide Bridge.
Really?
Yes, ma'am. And sometimes going to the Eisenhower Bridge, you get a lot more stuff going on there than you do down at Saks, And but I love the bridges. I just seems like that I get a lot. And what else I do too, and I didn't do too much at the beginning, but I would get up like at about 1 a.m. and I would just take a walk in town. Gettysburg is so quiet. And people don't seem to realize that on the first day of the battle,
quiet.
They fought, didn't it? Yeah, dead quiet. Yes.
Yeah.
And
but yes,
you could see shadows going through the streets, and you get that eerie feeling. You can smell tobacco. You can hear drums. The Jenny Wade House.
Oh, the Jenny Wade House is crazy. Yeah.
We got a lot of good stuff up there in Jenny Wade, but just the history itself.
Yes.
It's phenomenal. It just is. What's really cool too about it, down the road, maybe an hour, you got Antietam, which was another Civil War battle down there. And then you got Harper's Ferry. And I've done that cruise, I've done that move, going to Harper's and Antietam and then up to Gettysburg.
Yes.
And I just love it. And it's crazy when I go to Gettysburg, it's not so much going to the battlefield, okay? Everybody goes to the damn battlefield.
Everybody does. I don't even think you're allowed to technically go there, though.
No, you can. You're not allowed after 10 o'clock at night. You're not allowed to be on the battlefield at 10 o'clock.
Oh, interesting.
And sunset to sunrise. And but what? Well, I'm a ghost hunter, hon. And I have those trail cams.
Yes.
I set the trail cams up before I leave the park. And I've gotten some good stuff and got a lot of good evidence on it. I like going down there. I like going out on the battlefield right about sunset because up there on, what the hell? Day 2. Culp's Hill. I think it's Culp's. Was it Culp's? No, the other one. Lord, no, I'm drawing a blank. But I was up there one evening, and I could actually smell the gunpowder coming from the gun. Yes,
that's crazy.
And screaming, hooting, hollering. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Have you heard of the Phantom Regiment that's up there that way?
You know what? I haven't. I never heard of that.
Oh, okay. Well, it's one of the battlefield hauntings, and one of the most famous, apparently. It's like a manifestation that happens there. It's called the Phantom Regiment. Supposedly, it's the ghostly remnants of a Confederate unit that still haunts this battlefield, like to this day. People have reported apparitions of phantom soldiers, where they're seen marching in formation, riding horses. Like, what the heck is that? But riding horses and basically, they're in different parts of the park, right? The battlefield park. And the ghosts that are there, they were there during Pickett's Charge, I think, when that took place near the little round top, where the peach orchard area is, the wheat
Yeah, that
field.
was day. That was day two. That was day two.
Yeah. So it's just like, can you imagine seeing something like that? I mean,
No, I would love it. I would love it. It'd be great.
yeah, I know.
It would be great. I got a story to tell you about that, but
Okay, yeah.
I have so many stories from Gettysburg. It's unbelievable.
Oh, I bet. What isn't haunted in Gettysburg is more the question.
We stayed at an RV park, and so one night we're there, and all of a sudden I heard rain. Okay, I heard rain,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm thinking, damn. So I went, opened up the door, looked out, and there's not a raindrop in sight.
Mm-hmm.
So I go back to bed, and then all of a sudden I'm hearing that like raindrops again on the RV, and I'm looking, and I'm like, I'm really listening.
Yeah.
And it wasn't raining on top. That sound was coming from the side of the RV. Oh
Wow.
yeah. There was like a little battle going on at the RV park I was going at. It was crazy. What else?
Wow.
And one time we were still at the same RV park,
Mm-hmm.
and at that Artillery Ridge campground, if you have real horses,
Mm-hmm.
and you're traveling with real horses, you can go to that because they have like barns and stuff like that, so you can keep your horse at.
Mm-hmm.
And one day, all the real horses were like going off, like 3 a.m, going off. I mean, they were going nuts.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, me and a friend of mine that were staying in the RV, we heard a stampede of horses. No shit. Oh, excuse me. No.
It's all right. Yeah, I've had people say worse, Joe.
Yes.
Yeah. When the boss says it, I think it's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow,
But,
that is phenomenal.
Yes.
So a phantom stampede, essentially.
Yes.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Wow, that's crazy. That
It
is
was
crazy.
crazy. We're
Yeah.
like, and it only lasted like about 30 seconds, and that was it. We
Mhm.
both looked at each other like, what the hell was that?
That's
And,
incredible.
Mhm.
There have been people who have heard gunfire, cannon fire, like the phantom sounds that come out of this place is unbelievable. Men, just hollering and yelling. Like it's almost like I don't know about you, but on nights where it's about to rain, the sound just echoes.
Right.
It's so much clearer. It just travels so much farther. And on nights like that, it's said that you can hear so much. And then you just, I mean, look at all these people catching, footage of phantom soldiers walking around some of those cannons that are on display.
Right. They do have videos of that on
Yes.
YouTube of them
Yes.
doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's insane that it happens still.
Right.
So I don't know. There's some phenomenal stuff that takes place here. Wayne and I were there with a group of people one time, and we were at one of the little shops downtown. I was looking at. They had a lot of. Well, I mean, there are probably so many of them that do, but I went in and just bought a lot of stuff, framed artifacts, like
Right.
musket balls, things like that, right? My sons collected that, so I always made a point of getting stuff like that for them, and bayonets or whatever I can get my hands on. But somebody came out from across the street, and there's this little, I guess, stand-up restaurant, little ice creamery, that sort of thing.
Oh, best ice cream in the world.
Oh, yeah, best ice cream over there. I'll tell you though, a whole group of people came out of there hooting and hollering because there was a phantom soldier in there with them in the middle of the day. I'm like, crap sakes, I should have been getting ice cream instead of freaking musket balls. They just timed it all wrong. So, but middle of the day, and you know what it's like in the summer there. Everybody just flocks to this place, and this is exactly what it was.
Wow. Speaking of that incident at the ice cream shop, I've actually seen that ghost.
Have you?
Yes, not in the ice cream shop, but
Yeah.
on the corner across the street.
Right.
There's a corner right there, and he usually hangs out up there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I've seen him before.
But this was a little corner
Yes,
place. Yeah.
yes.
It was crazy. I couldn't get over it. And I have to tell you, like the first time I went, I stayed in a new hotel, which means absolutely nothing. And this lends to that exactly. It means nothing if it's new. Okay. It's all about the land. So I'm there and I'm with a friend of mine. And all of a sudden, like we're calling it a night. And everybody, you know, there was a convention. That was the first time I went, was for one of the para conventions. And everybody's hooting and hollering. Everybody finally just settles down. The whole place goes quiet. I'm like, okay. And I'm laying down fully awake. The entire room filled with a fog.
Yeah.
I'm like this. Like I just want to make sure I'm seeing it right. I'm swimming through it. Like, what is
Right.
this? What is this? And then I started hearing like footsteps, like stomping, like outside. And of course you look, there's nobody there, like outside the door. And I'm like, okay. It was so thick that I was having a hard time seeing my hand.
I can imagine. I stayed when I go up and stay at a hotel. I stay at the 1861.
I know the one.
Yeah, the hotel.
Yeah.
And there, you know, I didn't sleep that much.
How can you?
But if you go on the 5th floor and you
Yeah.
go out on the balcony of the 5th floor,
Yeah.
behind the parking lot, there's a pathway, and I've seen soldiers walk up that pathway.
Oh, so that's crazy.
Yes,
That's crazy.
2, 3 in the morning. Absolutely.
See, that's an experience. You're almost guaranteed an experience of some sort, aren't you?
Guaranteed.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, somewhere. Yeah.
Now, Sachs Bridge. Now, there is a soldier, a Confederate soldier from Tennessee that hangs out on that bridge.
Yes.
Okay, and he loves it when I come up here because, especially in the summer, because I'll break out all my K2 meters and stuff like that. You know, give a little joke for the people who are just visiting.
Yes.
Oh my, what a ham he is! What a ham! But what I did for him, and which kind of helped build that relationship with him, was I would always leave him a cigarette, and I would always leave him one match, all the time in the same spot every day. And it just seems like the more that I went up to Gettysburg to Sachs Bridge, he was just so responsive, man, to every question that I've asked, and and we sit there and talk. I'll go if I'm with a bunch of people. I'm always there first, and I'll sit there and I'll talk to them. I'll say, "No, you behave tonight. Okay, we're having good people with me tonight, so you got to behave."
Wow.
And he does usually, but yeah, it's just feels like, I don't know if I was in the Civil War in the past life. To be honest with you,
if it resonates with you, it's possible.
Yeah.
You know,
it's just like when I see the monuments, I'm just like, wow, and I'm home, and it just feels like home. But can I share a story with you real quick?
Yes.
Okay.
It's all about you tonight. So yes, cool. You can.
So I'm a big, since I'm, I am Irish, and I love the 68th, 69th Irish Brigade out of New York, and the 72nd, they're called the Irish Brigade. Yes. And they got annihilated day 2 in the wheat field and peach orchard. But the priest that gave last rites to these soldiers, I think his name was Father Conroy, I'm not sure. But here's what's like really cool. After the war, he went out to Notre Dame, and he was a chancellor out there. And when he went out to Notre Dame, they didn't have a mascot. He didn't even have a name. And so he came up with the name, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. And how he came up with the Fighting Irish for Notre Dame was day 2 of the war, of the fighting 69th and 68th Fighting Irish Brigade.
That's crazy.
That's how Notre Dame got their fighting Irish.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. I
Yeah.
love that. I love stories like that. It just shows you just how connected things really are. You know,
Yes.
I ended up. I'm very well known, obviously, for buying oddities, and I have dealers who from different parts of everywhere who message me and say I have something very unusual because they do auctions. And for those who've never done an auction, and I'll let you know where I'm going with this. For those who've never done an auction, when you buy an auction lot, you have to take everything that's in that lot. That lot could have 10 things, 5 things, 50 things, right? You're
Wow.
paying for the whole lot. If you don't take the whole lot away after you purchase it, they charge you money for everything that they're taking away. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, it's big money. It's big money, and then they just resell it. So it's like double ending for sure. But I ended up with 2 headstones that were from the Pennsylvania area. One, I had friends of mine who do restoration on them, have a good look at them just to see if they could, because old limestone ones, you can't really see everything. One was, just a woman who passed away at some point. And the other one was a Gettysburg headstone.
Okay.
But how it was explained to me, which was how it was explained to him, was during the war, sometimes the regiments were just blown there was nothing left.
Right.
And their names would go on the monument in the park, wherever their regiment, was, whichever state they represented. But the families used to get a stone. So they had something, right? So they had something with their loved one's name on it. So this wasn't a stone that was used with any burial. It was just one that was given to a family. So they had some place to go to and pay the respect. And back then it would be on their farms or properties. And after a while, farms and properties get sold and divided up. Subdivisions go in or houses get torn down because they're so old. New houses go up. And it got sold. So I still, to this day, have people trying to locate this young man's family to try to return it. But it's big and it weighs a ton. So they would have to come up here to get it. But I've sort of look at myself sometimes as a caretaker of items until they go to the right place. And I always wait. Eventually, the right people or the right places find me, and things get put back into their perspective.
That's
spots.
sweet of you to do that. It really is.
Oh, thank you. Things get destroyed otherwise.
Right. That's really sweet. Mm-hmm.
Well, let's hope that my family feels the same way because they won't be here forever. We don't want these things. I know, but somebody has to, right? So,
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's kind of like that. But I it makes you just realize I was very saddened by it and felt like I wanted to care for it because this young man never made it home.
Mm-hmm.
And I really felt that need to want to honor him in that way because it's all that was left that could be cared for.
Does he hang around your house?
I'm sorry?
Does he hang around your house?
No, nothing is attached to that at all.
No, wow.
No, I would imagine if you go that suddenly, and with a bunch of people gone, I imagine that you would be one of those people that perhaps are still fighting.
No, I agree with you 100%. It's like when I try to explain to people. So me and you are fighting. I'm Union. You're Confederate, and I'm pointing a gun at you.
Yeah.
And you're going to die.
Yeah.
Now, every emotion in the world inside your body is just going to come up.
Yes.
And form a real strong, solid ball of energy.
Mm-hmm.
And I pull the trigger, you die.
Mm-hmm.
And that ball of energy just stays right where it's at.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? It just stays there, and it don't know where to go. Some of the ghosts up there they don't even know that they're dead.
No.
The ones that have the recurring hauntings. I've been at the Dobbins house and for dinner one time, and there was a guy, a soldier, just walked right in front of him, straight at me. He didn't even know I was there. He was he was in that. He was stuck back in 1863. That's where he
Craziness.
must have died. Yeah.
It's so sad. It's so
Hmm.
sad. Whenever I connect with a spirit, I always, communicate with them and say, you don't belong here. You've passed on. Like, you have family
Right.
waiting for you. You should move forward. And sometimes it's almost like they just look right through you. They don't acknowledge it. Others do. It's like, oh, they get it. But
Hmm.
I always find it interesting. I know in the War of 1812, Wayne was telling me a story one time where he and a friend at the time were at a fort in upstate New York. Would have been like Niagara Fort. I think it was Fort Niagara. And, they were taking photos. And all of a sudden, the camera got slapped out of his friend's hands. But when you look at the camera, there's this long lens and it says Canon,
Oh. Oh.
right?
Yeah.
So I think sometimes when you're taking photos, you need to, especially, I mean, they could read. So I think we have to factor in things like that and say, oh
Hmm.
boy, like your cannon's pointing at you. You're no,
Right.
so I think it's little things like that to factor in while we're researching these
Hmm.
places, you know?
Yeah. And I totally agree with you. Like down in Pittsburgh, you got Fort Pitt, and you just you walk in. It's called Point State Park, is what it's called now. But if you go over to where the fort was, and it's still the original fort down there,
Hmm.
all you have to do is just put your hand on the fort
Yeah.
itself, and
Hmm.
you can just feel all the sadness. You can feel all the anger just coming
Hmm.
off of that. You know.
Hmm. I
Um, I,
I find items can do that if you get things from certain areas. I have an old, really gothic looking chandelier that came from the asylum, the Allegheny Asylum. Is that the one?
Trans
Back
Allegheny.
yes. It came in an antique dealer. I got it from in Canada, no less, not even there. And they said, "Oh, it came from this location. Are you familiar with it?" I'm like, I just want to play stupid. I don't want to think I was all excited about it. I'm going, I don't know. Meanwhile, it's like the score of the century. Whoo,
Right.
it's just big black wrought iron, like just big metal iron.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just very simplistic, which would have been of the time, but it was just like, wow, it's a piece of history. So I
Mhm.
guess at some point, parts of it were sold off before the current owners, I guess, have it. But again, it's one of those pieces. How did it end up here? Probably a dealer going south, buying, doing auctions, and a lot of things just make their way all over the place. But now I'm looking at this thing going, you feel like it should go back,
Right.
right?
And
Like,
yeah, you feel that, but you're saying to yourself, "Nah, I paid money
I
for
don't
that.
know. Yeah, I don't
I'm
know.
going
I
on to
think
that."
if the owners approached me and they wanted to come and get it, I'd probably be, okay, show me the owners. And I would probably consider it because it's there are some things that just have to go back where they belong, where they came
Mhm.
from, what they're meant to. Like I say, you look at things like you're a caretaker,
Right.
not, you're just a caretaker of things. You're not meant to have them forever.
I'm the same way. Like at antique store, I don't buy antiques. I just walk in to see
Yeah.
um, what they have, and I remember, and I bring up the salt and pepper shaker.
Yeah.
Uh, there was an old salt and pepper
Mm.
shaker,
Mhm.
and the antique person said that it's them salt and pepper shakers were with 6 or 7 different people before it got to her store,
Wow.
and all
Mm.
6, 7 of those people who used to own those had a lot of bad,
Yeah.
bad spiritual things happening to them, and there was a ghost that was attached to those, you know,
Yes.
and and to me, a salt and pepper shaker. They were small, and it's amazing.
But it was used every day,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah,
that was something that, I mean, people touched that probably every day in one form or another, and it was part of their everyday life. That's what makes things so amazing, is they were loved by somebody who used them every day, who handled them every day.
hmm And then there's some objects that I would walk by or take a look at, and there wasn't very good energy there on some of those things,
Mm-hmm.
and I just like kind of avoided. I told them to box it up and put it in the
Mm-hmm.
cellar
Yeah,
because
yeah, you've had to take haunted items as well. Yeah, I've had to
yes.
take haunted items, but you know what? Sometimes they're haunted
What's
with the
your biggest
people they
fear?
come from, but not you.
I understand.
Yeah,
No, I ain't dealing with angry spirits. What's the
yeah.
most fearful thing for you that scares you about the spiritual world, like um, ghost hunting or whatever? What's the biggest like fear for you? And I'll tell you mine real quick. It's
Yes.
baby dolls and clowns. Baby dolls and clowns.
Really? Why?
I am
Why?
so yes. I
Why?
do not know.
You
Them
don't
baby
know.
dolls, they just look kind of creepy. I've always been afraid of them. I mean,
Hmm.
I can go into the most demonic, most evil house out there
Yeah.
anywhere, have no
Hmm.
problem going in. But if
Yeah.
there's a room full of baby dolls, I'm done. That's it. I'm done.
Maybe because
And
they're like
clowns, I was,
little humans, and clowns are just
yeah.
beautiful.
Oh, they are.
Clowns are their own thing. Yeah. Yeah.
Someone threatened to take me out to that clown motel out there in Nevada. I said, I'll sleep in the car. I'll sleep in the car.
Yeah.
What
I
about
don't
you?
I don't have fear of things like that at all, actually. It's strange. I don't really get wigged out in that way, in places like that. Like, I have skulls, I've got a medieval skull that's probably,
Oh, sweet.
like from 1425. And
Wow.
it has papers, like it came from the St. Elizabeth's flood of 1425, and um, belonged to a little old lady who had over 200 skulls in England. And when she passed, the family had to get rid of this. So, of course, a friend of mine who was a dealer messaged, and I have a guy in the back that you can see there. He's
Yeah.
called a phantom skull. And he came from university in Europe, and he's probably late 1800s, early 1900s, and he's encased in very heavy glass. And he came to me as a haunted object, and
hmm
he came, the collection he came from, the guy had all kinds of old, people collect old war memorabilia, and he had Russian war memorabilia with this big helmet on him. He goes, things was always happening in the house, and he goes, just take this thing. It's like, all right, I'm not weird about it. Okay. I haven't had any problems with him because he didn't have
hmm
anything on him. I used to sit him on my desk with a baseball cap on, and I just nicknamed him Jeffy, and we hung out. I never had a problem with it. Like, what's haunted for some people are not necessarily for other people.
I believe it's the energy that we radiate.
Yes, I think so. It's just a different atmosphere with me. But what I do with objects like that, you can bind them and you can actually remove that energy. And when that happens, I have energy removed and watch the item for a little while. It goes into storage in case people decide they want it back. I've held things for I have an item right now. I've held it for 10 years. But it will go for donation. And I've made that clear. I said it's going to, like, Habitat for Humanity. It's not haunted. They thought it was. They didn't want it because a paranormal group who wasn't very versed, said, nope, this is a haunted item. And I had a different paranormal group message me to take it. For 10 years, I've held it. I said, okay, now it's going to Habitat for Humanity. It's that they're a charity. It's donated. They'll sell it. It will go to a good cause. I've had zero issues with that. There's nothing attached to it in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
So
Until whoever buys it, and then they start being knuckleheads and do something, and then all of a sudden,
it's a table. It was just like a table. It was nothing. It was a big table, and I'm just like, There was nothing, zero, nothing attached to it at all. But this group said there's something attached to it. I'm just like, there's nothing here. And that's what that group said. But it was a big item. They're like, we can't just take it, you know? So it's been 10 years, at least 10 years. And I said, okay, now it will go for donation. I don't sell anything, you know, and when I know there's nothing there. And a lot of times there is nothing attached to these items. I don't keep it. I'm not interested in having a museum. I've never done anything with items. They will always go for donation or they will be returned. I try to convince people there's nothing on it.
Mm-hmm.
But people
don't want to listen. And
No,
I blame the media, and I blame TV, and I blame the movies.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I'm coming from with something like that. Yeah.
Yes. No, it's you know, exactly. There are things are what they are, but I've never had anything specific wig me out in that way. You know, I've been to locations where unseen things have you know, wigged me out a little bit. Like I think those rakes would freak me out a little bit.
Right.
Those freaking crawly white rakes that become kind of like, yeah, you know, I'm good without that. It's just things that you're not stupid about, you know.
I had a friend. She was in my group, and first time I went over her house, she had a very, very old Ouija board. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And and this is my own personal. I don't like them. Okay, I don't like playing with them. No,
Mm-hmm.
I have friends that do, but they know what they're doing with them. So,
Yeah.
but I said she wanted to get rid of it,
Mm.
and so she said she had an old oak tree in the back of her yard.
Mm-hmm.
And how I tell people what to do
Yeah.
is to get that object, put it in a box, but put sea salt in the bottom of the box, and then lay the object on the sea salt, and throw some more sea salt on top of the object.
Yes.
And then tie it up and go to the oldest tree that you can find, and dig a hole and bury it. Let Mother Earth deal with it. And they did. You know, it was a Ouija board. So she called me up 2 weeks later. She said, well, we had a little going away party for the board. And,
oh boy.
You know, and I said, were you intoxicated? And she said, yes, we were. But long story short, where she buried it in the hole, it was around fall time. So all these leaves fell to the ground. They were coming off the tree. So she sends me a picture the following morning. And do you know, not one leaf fell on that area where it was buried at.
Wow.
Yes. So me and my brother went over there, and my brother kicked leaves all over the place, right? Yeah. Next morning she gets up, takes another picture. All those leaves my brother put on top of that, they were all gone. It was like a perfect square.
Wow. That's insane. Yeah.
And then it snowed one time.
Yeah.
And she took a picture, and no snow went on the plate on that place where she buried the Ouija board. Not one.
That is,
yes.
That's something right there, isn't it?
Oh God, yeah. And I'm like,
it's so unusual when you look at doing paranormal investigations, because logic tells you that if you're going to try to communicate with something, that you're making an invitation. Why do we get stuck, for example, on Ouija boards when, technically speaking, a pendulum does the same thing, a ghost box does the same thing, a phone app does the same thing, a spirit box does the same thing. Yes. I was at an event one time helping somebody else, because I don't do the cons. For years I've just, it's just not my thing. If I had a book or something to sell, it'd be different. Right. But I don't. So I do like to go and support my peers, though, right? I like to go and check them out. But somebody came out to me and pointed to this little girl, and they said they were just at my table, and they have a lot of activity going on. He goes, can I ask them to come over and see you? I said, yeah, of course. So this little girl comes over with her father. Turns out the father traveled a lot for work, just flew everywhere. It was gone all the time. So the little girl was into watching all of these ghost shows, and she ended up downloading a couple of these apps, for communication.
Mhm.
And he bought her little EMF detector, little K2 meter, things like that. She was 11 years old.
Ah.
And the dad says to me, he goes, "Oh, I don't know what's going on. Doors are opening, closing, and footsteps and all kinds of stuff's going on. Looks like she hit on something in the house." I'm going, looks like she brought something in too. And I'm trying to explain that she is at this age where things are going to start acting up.
Yep.
And it was like no big deal, like none at all. It was just like, oh, well, she's just having fun. All right, have fun.
Call me in a week.
I know. Like, what do you do though when you see situations like that? I mean, it's hard to get through to some adults, let alone like a
Right.
kid or a guy who's never home and just wants his kid to be happy.
Well, I had a case one time, and this lady, she called me up real frantically, and so we went up, and here her niece, who was
Yeah.
13 at the time.
Yeah.
Every time she would spend the weekend at the house, all hell would break loose in the house.
Mm-hmm.
But when the niece left, everything
Yeah.
seemed to calm down.
Yes. Yes.
And it's like it was, she's at that age,
Yes.
to where and she could probably lit up half of the United States, and just herself.
Mhm.
And I said that the spirits are attracted to the energy that she is releasing. That's why all hell's breaking loose in your house.
Yes.
And they also lived underneath power lines too. So if you get a piece of pie and you cut it in half, 3/4 of that pie was the young girl plus the power cables. And what else is interesting too? First thing I do when I would go to a house is go and check out the fuse box. And most of your old houses have that knob and tubing.
That's true. Our old house did. We had to remove it all.
Yeah, and that leaves off a lot of radiation. I don't want to say radiation, but a lot of waves out there, and the spirits are attracted to that.
Right. Yeah, a lot of natural things, to factor in. Before we go any further, we'll get to a couple of questions or comments. Is there something actually attached to, I'm guessing, an item, or is it from the idea that we speak into the object? Okay, I'm going to assume a Ouija board or whatever the object is. So, is there something actually attached, or is it from the idea that we speak truth into the object, acting as a beacon?
I personally think there's something attached to that Ouija board, to be honest with you. I do. I really, really do. I don't see us, like, if I'm on the Ouija board saying, hello, Margie, or hello, Michelle, and that's not my mind playing a trick on me, like I'm actually talking to a Michelle. I'm not. It's just, and I guess it's because we're very empathic. I know I am, and I know you are. And it's like, that something is there. Okay. Now, for a person who does not have that deal that we have, then, they could be thinking, oh, you're just thinking this and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
I think it's a bit of everything for me, because I've experimented with these things as far as the power of our minds. I believe if there's something in the area, it knows what we're thinking. It's telepathic, obviously.
Right.
So if you're playing with this board and you're thinking of an answer, it may give it to you. And I've experimented with that, putting in a false answer and getting that false answer. I've also worked on 2 different occasions. I found this quite interesting. One was a 14-year-old girl. One was an adult man who believed that the energy within the home, that they could get them to do anything they wanted. They were being growled at. I mean, everything, right? And the man, for instance, said, "I can get it to do anything I want." I said, "I bet you not." And so he started playing with this ashtray. Thing starts going around in circles. And I'm thinking, I'm just looking at it. And I waved my hand over it like this. In my mind, I went, stop. It stopped dead. And I went like this. And it came to me. So I know something was there. It came to me and started rubbing up and down my arm like this, like it was caressing my arm.
Well,
And I looked at him. I said, take it from me. He tried everything. For months, he'd been getting this thing to move. I said, take it from me. My mindset, right? I'm sitting there going, no. And in my mind, I'm like, don't you move. And it didn't. And he tried everything. And one was a 14-year-old girl. And she thought this thing cared about her so much. And I just sat there and I had to do the same thing. I says, do you think it'll do whatever it is you want and it really cares about you? And she basically said, yes, that's exactly what I believe. I did the same experiment. I went like this. It shot over to me across the table like a bullet. And then I just sat there and I said, take it from me. They never can.
Right.
Because I'm just like, don't you dare. I truly believe a lot of times in mind over matter. I mean, you move. And it didn't move. And I sat there and then I said, do you care about? And I gave the name. And in my mind, I'm like, be truthful, firm. And it just sat there and I go, do this for yes, do this for no. And it was the no every single time. And she was shocked. But it's just like, I do believe in the power of the mind. I do believe in psychokinesis. I do believe in telekinesis. I do believe we can all project energy. And that is a perfect example of it.
That was interesting. I might have to start practicing that. A lot of people I knew, they lived and died by the pendulum. Okay. And I said, and I didn't even take their pendulum. I don't want to mess up my energies with their energies. So I would just get one off the shelf. And, blacklight the whole 9 yards. And, I'd just look at it and I would say, is my name Shawn? And it would go clockwise. Okay.
Yeah.
And then like a little bit later, I'd say, is my name Paul? And I would, make it go like that. And and I said, is my last name Kelly? And I made it go backwards for no.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
And my wrist didn't move. And I look at the people. Because I'm a firm believer that people who do have pendulums and tarot decks and all kinds of stuff that want to communicate. They really need to find somebody to teach them what to do.
You have to, because you can get yourself into a lot of trouble. I've got all kinds of pendulums because, again, as a researcher, I experiment with, let's say, crystals, let's say with metal, let's say, with there's so many different kinds, wooden, with brass. Like there's tons of different kinds that do different things. But one thing I've noticed, it's always going to be different based on the people. I think it goes based on your energy. I always ask it, how will you answer yes? And it'll go one way. I said, how will you answer no? It'll go another way. And then sometimes it just goes back and forth. Right. And then it'll say, I said, okay, yes or no. Then it starts doing this thing. But I mean, there's a reason that it behaves that way. And I think part of that is based on our own energy as well, not just so much, the energy that we're in communication with.
You could do that with
a pendant, a necklace,
anything.
Yes.
Really.
Yes, exactly.
What are the two things that you hold out and they cross?
Dowsing rods. I have them. I think they're fun.
Oh, they are fun, but you also can manipulate them. And I got a story about Gettysburg.
Yes.
Okay, so there's this guy that, oh my God, charged $50 for his tour with the pendulum, with the thingies, right?
Yes.
Guess where he had them sitting? Right on Sachs Bridge, right over the water.
Yeah, that's going to do its own thing. Yeah.
I told, and I was rude. I said, dude, give them back their money because you just robbed them silly. He said, shh. And I said, no, I'm not setting up. And then I proceeded to tell the people, I said, listen, this guy got you for $50 a piece. You know what I mean? He was a shyster, man. And I hate shysters. Like, I mean, I hate people trying to make a buck.
Charlatans.
Oh, my God.
Yes.
They want to make a buck off of people. It's ridiculous. You know, Michelle, you don't charge and I don't charge. You know?
No, I have given not just my time into helping people or, you know, you're on call like 24/7. I've been down that road. You know, I worked with people from all over the world. But I've also donated my time to libraries, to old folks' homes, you know, for people wanting to bring me in and talk, people wanting to know these stories. And I used to find out some of the best historical stories from certain areas because the older people would say, I remember when this was this or this was this. Like, you're kidding. That was that. You know, it's just, it was so much fun. And I donated my time back to the community because I used to do public events and for, you know, different locations. And then we had ghost tours that we would do. That was for us, you know, as part of working with tourism. But I'll tell you something, you know, when you look at Halloween, we used to do these ghost tours and we had all these little kids who had places to go for Halloween, or you had adults that had places to go. But then there were the kids in between that didn't have anything because they were too old for trick-or-treating, too young to go out. So we would do free ghost tours. And those kids used to be able to dress up and they would come out and they would do tours. Yeah, you know, so there was always ways. And we would work with, you know, community groups and things like that of all sorts. It's just you have to give back. You just have to. Hold on, let's go over here now. Zisan, hello. Do we think the Ouija board has an ancient energy attached to it and usually brings forth ancient connections? Ooh, I like that.
That's Michelle's ball part there.
I don't know. I think ancient. Anything. I'm ancient. I feel ancient. Sure and tell do. No, but I mean, what are my thoughts on that? I think that it can apply to many things. I mean, I believe that there are some things that do hold that. I can pick up a stone from the other part of the world. And there are reasons that I bring back certain stones and soil and stuff from different parts of the world because they do hold that energy. And I love how that energy feels. Like, do you ever find yourself, Shawn, you know, or anybody really, if you're going to some of these really old historic places and you just touch the wall, the stone, absolutely. And you just take in how that feels? Like, I think that's
down the fort in Pittsburgh. Yes. And down there.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. And for me, you know, trees are unbelievable with the energies.
They are that whole hug a tree thing. That's a thing.
I don't like to hug trees.
You should. They exchange energy with you. They help ground
you. I do it with my hand. I put my left hand up on the tree, and I, you know, listen to them do their energy, and then in return, I let my energy out and put it back into them.
But that's you're still doing an exchange of energy, which is phenomenal. Right. There's a lot of intelligence with trees. You know, they communicate via the root system. And I think this is why a lot of elemental spirits like to stay within the trees, either in the roots of the trees at certain times of the year, or they'll come to the treetops in other times of the year. You know, like earth elementals, you know, earth, wind, fire, all of that, water. They stay within the forests and the trees, and they tend to be very protective. If your trees aren't happy, your elementals are peeved off.
Oh yeah, they are.
Right? Yeah, I worked spots where the elementals wreaked havoc. So you just have to kind of work with the energy within the forest, and all of a sudden the elementals, everything seems to calm down a little bit.
Right. Oh, absolutely. And I love the elementals. I really, really do. And the little fairies, gnomes.
Yes.
Stuff like that.
Not a fan of the gnomes. Anybody who knows me knows. I'm not a fan of the gnomes.
To me, gnomes are like little leprechauns. You know what I mean? Seriously.
Mischievous little things that they are. Yes.
But
I know. I don't know what it is about gnomes. I just find them. I don't know. I don't know what it is specifically about gnomes. I just find because sometimes it can be a little bit fickle. You know, I was telling a story on the show today that I did earlier, and about when they were building a highway in Norway, and the gnomes caused so many issues, messed with the equipment, did
I
everything.
read that. I read
Right?
about that story.
Remember that? And they had to divert the highway around this big tree.
Yes.
So the highway came in both sides and everything stopped because the gnomes were happy. They take the gnomes very seriously in certain parts of the world.
Over in Cornwall, you've heard of the Tommyknockers, right?
Yeah, the girls, Laura Lee and Carrie Lynn, were talking about the Tommyknockers today.
Yes, the Tommyknockers. I remember my very first show I had on my own. I had my friend who owns 2 silver mines out in South Dakota.
Yes.
And I asked him about the Tommyknockers. Okay, and he said they're for real. They're for real.
Yes,
He has seen them. He leaves them cigarettes. He leaves them booze. He leaves them food. You know what I mean? And I read a lot of stories about the Tommyknockers. And everybody, when I'm talking Tommyknockers, I'm not talking the Stephen King movie. I'm talking about And come to find out that they do protect miners. You know, and they came from Cornwall.
Yes.
And it was just a very, very interesting topic to bring the Tommyknockers up, you know. So whenever I hear strange stories anywhere, you know, I just kick them to the side or kick them to the curb. I really listen. And if I'm really, really interested, I go research it. I research the best I can.
Right.
With you, I had you on my show one time. And remember the one time we talked about the Nabisco cookie? The Oreo cookie. Was that the flag of St. Catherine or St. Karen that's on there?
Well, it's believed that there's a Templar cross or the double T cross is on.
Yeah.
I don't recall otherwise. I mean, things leave me. Things come to me. Things leave me. So
but that was
my head's always going with tons, you know.
Right.
But yes.
And it was a Templar show. And
yes,
what was amazing, I know what the topic was about the Templars is because I read somewhere that there were a lot of women who were Templars. And that's why I brought you on to talk about it. That's why. Yeah. And then the Oreo cookie with the flag.
Cookie.
The flag. It blew me away. And if you look at the design around the cookie, it's the same type of design they had on their the red. It looks like an hourglass.
Yes.
Yes. If you look at, so everybody go to the store and buy yourself some Oreo cookies, double stuffed. And just look at the cookie part on the outside, and you will see what we are talking about.
Yeah. It's crazy though. There's so much when you're getting into all kinds of aspects of high strangeness, so to speak. It's everywhere more than people think, and everything is connected. I've been to have you I talked about this earlier. Have you ever been to Jim Thorpe out in
no. I have friends out in Jim Thorpe, but I haven't been there.
One of my favorite places in the whole state. I freaking love it. And the jail that they have there has quite a history. You know, the one where it had the prisoner. I think there's a lot of Union stuff that went on back then. But there's a hand on the wall. No matter how many times they've tried to paint it, it does not go away. It comes back.
Does not go away. Oh, that's cool as hell.
I know. You have to go. It is. I love it. And it's where for those Disney enthusiasts of the Haunted Mansion, the house that they use for the Haunted Mansion is there in Jim Thorpe. You can see it. You can stay there. Yes, it is.
Aren't they? I thought I read somewhere where the railroad up there is like really haunted.
Part of this little town isn't. I went on a shopping spree. Don't ask me how I found one freaking store in the whole town. I bought a crystal ball It's got to be about 70 pounds. It's like the size of a basketball. I come out like I hit the mother lode. It's looking at me like, woo, that was the highlight of it all. I was like, look at what I found. I've never seen a crystal ball so big. But anyway, I always have to have my mementos where I go to these crazy places. But it was an incredible town, so historic, so haunted. Just talking to people who live there. Everybody had a story. So if you're able to get there, I highly recommend it. And it's way down in a valley, right? Like a coal town. That is huge piece of coal in the middle of the courtyard. And the whole town.
Oh,
like,
wow.
God, look at this thing. It's amazing. I know.
It
awesome.
is on my bucket list. It is on my bucket list.
Oh, yeah. It was great. Because I like to travel to different haunted places, right? And this one came up, and I'm just like, oh, see, right there, that's got my name all over it. And they have a house there, which would have been considered a mansion at the time, by I think it ended up being a U.S. senator or somebody in Congress. It eludes me at the moment, but the family, I guess, when they all died off, and it was left to the town. And you walk in and everything was still there, right down to everything in the dresser drawers. And they were expanding on the house. You could tell when the family built it, and they would shop from the old Sears Roebuck, catalog. Right. And you should see what you could have got Sears back then. Jesus Lord. They had the most ornate things ever. And chandeliers, and we learned so much about the history behind it, and just incredible place, very, very haunted. So let's talk cryptids. What kind of cryptids do you have in Pennsylvania?
Oh man, we have the Wolfman, the Dog Man.
Oh, you have that too, eh?
Yes, so we do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, we do, the Dog Man. We also have Bigfoot. We also have the Thunderbird.
You do.
What's real big down here is the Mothman. And I'm not a real big believer of the Mothman.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm not. I feel, because I saw a couple things on YouTube about it. And at the time when Mothman was first discovered, the people down there, I think it's Kentucky, I'm not sure, I don't know where, but the government was doing illegal things with bad stuff. They were dumping it. And I believe to this day, I believe the Mothman was created to scare people away from that area where they were dumping all that bad stuff. And I really have a hard time believing the Mothman.
But there's been sightings of him even on the other side of the world.
But see, that's where it gets really strange for me. I don't think the original Mothman was down there. We'll say Kentucky, I guess.
It's actually in West Virginia. This is where Alan's from. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Alan.
Yes.
But I really, what would it go? Why would the Mothman freaking go from West Virginia all the way to the other side of the world? What
if there was more than one?
But you're right.
Yeah.
Who's not to say that if there is, when we're doing this for the show's sake, that they did multiply, and then they did move,
or they made more than one. That got away.
Right. Exactly. I just don't like the story behind, because it was a big cover up down there, and when the bridge collapsed down there, they blamed the Mothman. I'm thinking, how in the hell can you blame the Mothman for that bridge collapsing? I just have a problem. Do I respect people who do believe it? Yes. I do respect them. If that's what they believe, God bless them. I will listen to your story and I will not judge you. I'm just telling you from
your
my
thoughts.
Yeah.
I think it
from my
needs
perspective.
further research. It seems to come up around places of disaster. Do you remember when those when Japan had the big nuclear the big nuclear blast like years ago? Something happened at one of their nuclear facilities, I believe, and it was seen in the sky in and around that just before or around that time.
Oh, really?
And
No,
one was just
I
seen
did not know that.
yeah, and one was just seen in Chicago not long ago. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they are multidimensional. Maybe, I don't know. But I do agree that a lot of these places have military bases. But you know what? That area also has alleged entrances into Middle Earth or Inner Earth.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, because of the coal mines, right?
Mm,
Oh,
see? So
mm,
it's just food for thought. Like, I think this when things are cited in different parts of the world, it's interesting as to, you know, why is it there? Was it in Point Pleasant because it was trying to warn of a disaster?
right. It's
Right?
possible. I heard that story before,
Yeah.
the warnings, but I just, for me,
Yeah.
putting
You
two
can't
and
get your
two
head there,
together,
right?
I can't get my head there. I
Yeah.
would really seriously would have
Hmm.
to meet Mothman and
Yeah.
then I can give you my opinion. That's the same way I am with Bigfoot. When we
Yeah.
first started doing the podcast, and I didn't
Yeah.
believe him. I laughed. I was like, no,
Right.
he don't exist. And it
Right.
took me like 4 years with all the professional guests we had on. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
So I'm on the fence and I'm leaning toward they're there. And
Yes.
so it has opened my mind being on UPRN Talk Radio,
Yeah.
105.3 Mississippi, 107.7 New Orleans, has opened my mind. And I have
Yes.
met so many good guests, and
Hmm.
I'm starting to believe.
But we all learn as
And
well,
that's why I
don't
tell
we?
people about UFO.
Hmm.
Oh my God, yes, I've learned so much. I've
Yeah.
learned so much, and I am forever grateful for it.
Yes.
But like when the UFOs and aliens, I know they exist. I know UFOs exist. I've seen one. But
Hmm.
for me, a UFO would have to drop in my backyard, okay, and a little gray would have to walk out of there, and I'd have to shake his hand. You
It's
know what I
happened
mean?
to me. I'm
Has
an
it?
experiencer.
You are,
Yes.
you are
Yes.
so lucky,
I've I,
girl.
I have seen UFOs. I grew up in northern Canada. There's freaking nothing up there. No, I've seen UFOs. I've watched them descend, and
Right.
next day the military helicopters all over the place. I before my mom passed, I actually asked her a lot of questions about our family history. Like, is this all going on? Why do I have a fascination for the stars? She goes, well, my father, your grandfather, had a telescope. Do you remember? He was always watching the stars. And then I got stories about my father who acted like, nope, none of this exists. To my father in his later years, oh yeah, we'd see UFOs all the time. My grandparents owned an island on one of really large lakes up north, and they see them all the time. This is back in a time, remember, there were no satellites in the sky. So if something came
Right.
zipping across the night sky, it was something. And then it
That
took
that's
moving
deeply
here
thought.
to have experiences with ET beings. I've seen it gray right in the house.
Oh my gosh, that is so
I'm
cool as
just
hell.
I know, but I wasn't prepared. Everybody laughs at me when I say, like, well, what did you do when you saw it? Because I wasn't asleep. I was wide awake. I hadn't gone to sleep yet. And I look over and there's like a gray, there's about 4 feet or so tall. And I looked at it and that was the best I could do is nope. And I rolled over. I'm not
Mhm.
doing it. It's not a freaking chance. I I wasn't ready
Right.
for it, but yet I'm the one who said a couple weeks or so beforehand, okay, I think I'm ready now because I was starting to have childhood memories.
Hmm.
I knew I had the experiences. And honestly, Sean, I started questioning how many of my paranormal experiences may have been ET experiences because the similarities are
Yeah.
so accurate. Like they're almost similar to the point where they mirror one another, right down to the smells, right down to the sounds, like foul smells and the smell of sulfur. What do we associate that with in the paranormal?
Evil, evil, the
Yeah.
devil, Satan.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
you know what? Abductees have said that. Crackling sounds, tearing sounds, that something else, sleep paralysis, parallel
Yeah.
realities, enhanced psychic abilities. All of these things are similar to contact, some of what some of the contactees have stated. So do you see how
I might
similar
have
they are?
been. I'm going to run this by you real quick. Okay.
Mhm.
That for a long time, I'd be laying in bed and just about to go to sleep, and I would close my eyes. Okay. Just close them.
Yeah.
Or you'd fall. And all of a sudden, a real bright light would just show up.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, my eyes are closed,
Mm-hmm.
but this bright light is there with my eyes closed.
Mm-hmm.
And I also have O negative blood, like Joe likes to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And I really believe, I, I believe that, I guess, a contactee or whatever. I know
Mm-hmm.
I was brought up to a ship, but
Yeah.
I know that they do come to me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they do. And I'm thinking that bright light, is it them? It
Yeah, I
could
had a
be.
bright light experience. Yeah.
Did it?
Yeah.
Why do they pick us, Michelle? Why do they?
Well, I mean, I'm also negative blood type. And I also, have like, my like green eyed, my actual real hair color tends to have loads of real red highlights in it. Not what I do with it, but because I do have part of that ancestry, so it sort of mixes into everything. But I think a lot of it, for me, I know without a doubt, it's lineage, because I know a lot of my historic lineage that goes way back, hundreds of years, if not, a couple thousand. And I know where some of those connections, where they could stem from. And it's
Right.
believed that there are some of these races that follow bloodlines for thousands of years.
That is like real. That's interesting.
Mhm.
I don't know, and I'm okay with just being
But you
in
may
the.
not know all your family lines, like they do follow. Chances are, if you were followed, so is your mom or maybe your dad, so are your grandparents. Like I went back and got stories about my grandparents and great
Mhm.
grandparents, right? So
Oh,
that
wow.
that validated that for me big time, because that's immediate. That's something that somebody verbally said to me. Oh no, growing up, my grandparents, this is my mother. Oh, my grandparents would see this and their parents, like stories that were told within the family.
This um just came to my head. I
Hmm.
remember last year, a couple of years ago, my mom, the next day when she woke up, she says, "I really need to tell you something."
Hmm.
I said, "Okay, what's up?" And she said, She stays down in the living room, and she said, "Shawn, two young kids were
Hmm.
frolicking or running around inside the house,
Hmm.
kept looking at her." I said, "Mom, what do they look like?"
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
she said, "They were little boys." I said, "But Mom, what did they look like?" And I believe what my mom saw, okay, are actual
Little
grays,
ETs, little grays.
little,
Yeah.
little grays.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I
See?
remember, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with it. I think it's kind of cool. You know what I
Yes.
mean? I really do. But
Hmm.
I haven't been up on
Through
it. I
fear, we
haven't
shouldn't
been.
fear.
There ain't no fear.
You
And
shouldn't fear it.
no, I don't care about the reptilians. I remember the one show was funnier than hell. We had this one guy on that talked about reptilians. I swear to God, talking about the King and Queen of England
Mm.
when she was alive, that she was a reptilian. And I said on here, I said, "Hey,
Mm.
I'm just waiting for the SAS to come to my house, knocking tomorrow, and saying,
Yeah.
talking bad about the Queen. You know what I mean?
Oh
But
boy.
I'm more open-minded about it right now. I'm more
Mm.
open-minded ever since I've been doing the shows,
Mhm.
and I feel like I've been blessed by
Mhm.
being on UPRN. I've been blessed by the guests that have come on, that
Mhm.
I have talked to and listening to the other shows.
Mhm.
I believe that also that yes, I spent over 30 years in the paranormal field,
Mhm.
and I believe Spirit said, "Hey, listen, it's time to drop this shit. It's time
Mhm.
to move on to something else." And what
Mhm.
was really great about it, Michelle, is that I could share my experience, strength, and hope with people out there by doing podcasts.
That's exactly right. I think it's a journey. We're on a journey and we evolve. I've
Like,
always said, that my journey was through all of this because I've been an experiencer of many things since I was a kid, and I I evolve. I connect the dots. I see how connected everything is, you know. Um, I stopped doing television simply because I got tired of being labeled, because you can give, five
oh
answers to every question and people like, demon. I was like, I don't run around. I'm the most logical person ever. I don't run around screaming demon. I'm pretty logical about everything, but you get labeled and I just got tired of that to the
yeah,
point where I actually went an entirely different direction of research. And you
hmm
keep coming back around to it. Paranormal,
oh yeah,
ufology, cryptozoology,
absolutely,
it's all connected, all of it.
yep.
And some,
hmm
you know.
that's the
Quant-
one thing that I despise the most. I do have a reputable, you know, persona or personality.
Mhm.
I'm pretty big on the East Coast with the paranormal field, and
Yeah.
I don't like being put on a pedestal. I don't want
Yeah.
that. Um, I don't want to be that way. I'm here. I enjoy paranormal work. I'm here
Yeah.
to help you. If
Yeah.
you want to do an investigation, do
Mhm.
whatever, but
Mhm.
don't put me on the paranormal thing. You know what I
Yes.
mean? And I'm okay.
Mhm.
I've been on a couple shows. And I'll tell you, the one show I was on was Taps when they were at the Carnegie Library over in Homestead. I
Yeah.
wasn't allowed to investigate them with them, but I
Mhm.
was considered one of their
Consultants.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's another story we got to talk about, but not on there.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
I'll get in
Yeah.
trouble from Hollywood. But
Yeah. No.
it I don't like it. I don't like it, and
Mhm.
I don't like being the
The
big
center of
man.
attention. Yeah.
Yes, it's not
Yeah, the
me.
same.
It's not
It's the
me.
same.
It's not.
No, it's the same. I've never done the conferences for myself. I've always wanted to support other people. People say write a book. Well, I don't have time to write a book, and I find it hard to believe anybody would be that interested in my life. To be honest, I don't care enough about that. I will always answer questions. For me, this is. People like, when are we going to see you do television again? It says, you will not see me do it. I've done documentaries, a little bit different. I prefer being behind the camera. I love creating and helping people create and putting all that
Mhm.
together and watching the magic happen. I enjoy doing that. But for people who really want to know what I'm up to and you really want to know more about me, this is the best place to do it. And most of the
Right.
time, I'm interviewing other people because I am learning from them, and that I mean, just like everybody else who's listening. I love it. I love it.
I'll give you good, for instance, for me, Heidi. She's a real dear friend of mine.
Mhm.
Heidi, but she talks about frequencies a lot, and
I swear by it.
I'm learning about
Yes.
frequencies, and
Yes.
I'm still in the kindergarten stage of frequencies because I really don't understand it.
Mhm.
But um, I know it's a road that eventually I'm going to be going down to
Mhm.
study the frequencies because she's not the
Mhm.
only one that's been telling me about it. And the
Mhm.
synchronicities, I don't know how to say that word, but other
Mhm.
people have told me about, the decimal sounds and stuff like that. And so I
Mhm.
think Spirit is kind of saying, all right,
Mhm.
Shawn, get off your ass and start studying this. You know what I mean?
It's important. Sean, I see the big gong in the back. I have an assortment of bells. I work with a lot of these guys right here.
Oh, tuners. Piano tuning.
I've got all kinds of tuning forks, and I have a lot of them just laying around. And I'll sit there and I'll do some work with them. If I'm sitting here and I'm working, all of a sudden I'll be just sort of like,
oh well.
I love them. So I work with frequencies. I have helped people saying, okay, I want, you learn what the different frequencies do. And I put this off to people. I said, you don't have anything to do it. Just get on, listen to some binaural beats on YouTube, lie down, close your eyes, take it in and just let it take you for a while. It could physically heal you. It could mentally and spiritually. There's nothing like frequency. Nikola Tesla, Secrets of the Universe, right? It's just all about vibration and frequency. I love that you're talking about that. I think it's like, yay, because it's a way to go. It's just something that I think is a whole consciousness thing, and I think that just helps in our own evolution. A couple comments. Here is the exception that I made for the Ottawa Paracon, because the guy, John Moore, who put this together, was donating the proceeds to an animal shelter or humane society. And that's very near and dear to me, our animal rescues. So I made the trek and I made the appearance for a good cause. So yes, that one was my exception to the rule. Now, other ones here. Have you been to Centralia, Pennsylvania?
I have, Kurt. I have Kurt.
Okay. And what was that like?
If you want my honest opinion,
yes,
it wasn't as haunted as I thought it would be. The fire still the fire.
Wow.
The only big thing about that is that the fire is still underground and it's still going. They kind of have the town blocked off,
right.
And so you really can't go down into the town of Centralia. But the big thing, the claim to fame is where they basing that off the movie House on Haunted Hill or Hill.
Silent Hill.
Silent Hill. Yeah, they based that.
That was crazy. Yeah.
I have a couple of people that I know that live up in the Centralia area. Beautiful land, nice cemeteries. But to be honest with you, I really haven't got the opportunity to go into Centralia and do a little investigation.
Very interesting. Well, definitely something that's not going anywhere anytime soon. So,
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
If you come down to Pittsburgh, we were talking about historic places. Andrew Carnegie,
yes.
Okay, who was part of the railroads. He built libraries for his workers. He was a good man. Okay.
Yes.
He built libraries. And a long time ago, there was a big fight between the Pinkertons and the Union laborers. And there was a lot of bloodshed that went on down there. And so around in the Homestead area, they put a strip mall down there and some other stuff. But if you walk down the path at night behind these restaurants, okay, there's a lighted path. You can actually see shadows come across the path. It's really, Homestead is just one big haunted town, just like Jim Thorpe, you know what I mean? Because it's a lot of old buildings. But you had Andrew Carnegie, you had Jim Thorpe, not Jim Thorpe, I'm sorry, the Frick family, okay? And their mansions are still up. Okay?
Yes.
And it's like, wow, Westinghouse, George Westinghouse.
Yes.
Okay. He had a library, but and we did investigate the library, and we got a lot of good stuff out of there, but it burned down.
That happened. That was so common back in the day, wasn't it?
Yes. I mean, and when you read the history of Frick, Carnegie, and the other dude, Westinghouse, it's just pretty interesting. There's so many rabbit holes to go down to. You can go the paranormal rabbit hole, or else you can go to the history rabbit holes on all
Yes.
those gentlemen.
Yes.
And like you said, how you connect the dots. Okay.
Yes.
And after reading about those guys and the paranormal, especially in the libraries, Carnegie built a lot of libraries for everybody. Day Master Class on the Power of 369.
Yeah.
Now, see, God bless you, Heidi. I love you to death.
There we go.
The 369.
That's a Tesla thing. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to have to start off by downloading some vibe music.
Binaural beats. Yeah, for sure. But I think that, I think you're on literally the right track with everything that you're doing. It just shows a constant state of evolution. And when you talk about history, I love the history. I believe you have to have an understanding of the history to understand why a place would be haunted.
Yes,
why things would be happening there, Because
And
otherwise, what do you say?
True.
Go ahead, sorry.
That's why a lot of places that I've gone to, like Gettysburg, Bushy Battlefield, Bushy Run, that was the Revolution, not the Revolutionary War, but the French Native American War, and I'd like to read the history above the areas that are about, because a lot of places that we go to, they usually houses, in little cul-de-sacs, shit like that.
Yes.
And a lot of people who has houses that they think that they're haunted by, Grandma Moses or whatever in hell it is. But actually, when you tell them people, it's not family members, but it is the spirits of the settlers before your houses were built.
Yes. Which makes sense, because if you think back to the time period, people were land wealthy. They didn't always have money, but if you had land, you were considered wealthy. But it also, you were someone. Chances are, you were born on the land, or your kids were born on the land, you died on the land, you're buried on the land. The land sustained you, whether it would be through harvest, or herds of cattle, whatever the case may be. It's not like you could go flip on a light switch when you had these houses. Right. Sometimes you'd have to get the lard together, make the fat, turn on, light a fire, or, get the lanterns going. Like it took work to be able to sustain all of this. And just because you died does not mean that you were relinquishing that land, or, that you were still attached to that, because it still made you pretty much who you were within your community. It was your livelihood, right? Yeah, whatever, Jojo. Yeah.
Hey, girl. Hey, how you doing, buddy?
Goofball. But yeah, so I think with that being said, again, it's just a constant having an understanding of all of that brings you one step closer to the history as to why a location would be active, and how do you get people to move on? They're not even necessarily stuck. It's just their place. Right. Here's a question for you. Does Shawn know how the name Quakers became? Just curious. Wasn't that in Pennsylvania as well?
Quakers.
Like Mennonite, I guess,
I would have to go Mennonite. Quakers, they came over from England. I think they were
too. Yeah.
Yeah, they're from England. Kurt, they're from England. They were the Mayflower people, And I'll tell you what, there's a cemetery down here in Periopolis, PA, and they have a church on it, a little chapel, and it's run by a Quaker. Well, the ghost that haunts her is a Quaker spirit. And that boy's me. He is me.
Yes.
But no, that's how the Quakers became. Because they're from England, off the Mayflower, buddy.
Yes.
So if that helps you out there.
Yeah, Kurt. Yeah.
I love him to death. Good dude.
This has been loads of fun. I knew we would have a good time. So signing off, we just quickly, Dogman. Have you had an experience with it, or are you still looking?
I have not. I am still looking.
Wow. Okay.
My friend Donna Copus.
Yes.
We're talking, and I don't live far from her, and she said she'd take me out in the woods.
Oh
hey,
boy. Yeah, that's a
this
tough
is
one.
not Friday night. And it's not
They're
Saturday
not
night.
friendly. Yeah.
No.
Oh boy.
But did you ever hear her story on him, on the Wolfman? The Dog Man. Did you ever hear her story?
I'm not sure that I have. Not the Pennsylvania, not the one in Pennsylvania. No, I've heard the one that's out in Wisconsin. That was pretty popular. The Beast of Bray Road. Yeah. Of course, we have so many.
This one happened in Ohio. But we do have mountains here. It's called the Chestnut Ridge. Okay.
Yes.
And there is a lot of cryptids up in there. There's a lot of Bigfoot up in there. And a lot of UFO activity up in there. And and before we sign off, and I'd like to say this, that I will take it to my grave that UFOs and Bigfoot are related.
Yes. I'm with you there, brother. Absolutely.
Yes, they are related.
I'm there.
They are related.
Yes. Okay. So tell everybody when can people find you? When can people see you?
Okay. So you can see my show on Sunday nights and Tuesday nights from 8:10 to 9:10 p.m.
Yes.
On UPRN Talk Radio 105.3. I'm just
yeah.
But like on this month on my show, it's all about Bigfoot. Okay, I have Bigfoot guests, and it's all about the Bigfoot, and the show's doing great. With I think next month we're going to do a whole show, a whole month on UFOs and aliens on that one, and then the next month. I'm telling you what, it was crazy. Like a week before May, I said, "Why don't you just do 1 month with one topic?"
Yes, it's a grand idea.
I mean, it turned out great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Michelle, for having me on.
Thank you.
This was a pleasure.
Oh, it was a pleasure. It was a pleasure. We'll definitely do it again. There's just always so much to talk about. No, for sure. For sure. I had such a great time. I'm glad you did as well. And thank you guys, everybody in chat rooms, because you're all so buddy awesome. Yeah. It's just like I always say, like my chat family. So thank you. And again, big kudos to everybody who just keeps sharing us up. And don't forget, whichever platform you are listening to the show on or seeing the show on, please like, subscribe, share, follow, whatever the case may be. We appreciate you, and it helps us to grow. So very, very important, Now, here on the show on Tuesday on Beyond the Outer Realm, that's the new show. It's going to be uncensored. Oh, yes, it is. And it's going to be with Carol Ann Iderola from Ethereal Encounters. You guys would have seen her earlier tonight. And we're picking up where we left off again on a segment of forbidden knowledge and conspiracies. And we're just going out there. And right. And Wednesday night on the Outer Realm, I welcome back two dear friends and, people I also work with, Jack Roth, John Sumple. You've seen them on before. They're a couple of my producer friends. There's a couple of great guys. And we're going to talk about, UFOs and high strangeness, sort of going from that to film production, because they've made documentaries. And it's kind of going, how did you get from here to here? So there's a lot in between, right? A lot in between. Thursday, another one of our UPRN hosts of Don't Whistle at Night, a new show on Sundays, which is Don Yazzie. I promised a part 2, and he's right out of the Navajo Nation with mind-blowing things. Honestly, my jaw is always like, what? It can't be real. And it's a thing. It really is. And you have to definitely check out his show as well. My gosh, he brings on, Native American people for so many different areas and reservations and just tribes, and it's just they all are reporting the same thing. So it's so out there that there are multiple witnesses. How do you say that can't be a thing?
Exactly.
It's a freaking thing, and I promise you good things are coming with this young man and his co-host Darren Yazzie as well. Not related apparently, so that's a freaky thing right there. I love it. Anyway, have a fantastic weekend, guys. Make sure you check out all of the shows over the coming few days on the network. There are shows here literally 7 days a week, something for everyone. And I need a list to be able to name them all off the top of my head, but it's just not that good at this time of night. Anyway, I love you all. Thank you. And thank you, Shawn. It was just such a pleasure having you on.
Thank you very much, Michelle. Thank you.
Pleasure. Good night, everyone.
Good night.